Good evening, everyone. Can anyone hear me? Okay. Let's just wait a few moments for others. Let's say like 5 minutes. Okay. I think we can just proceed. Others will be joining us. Just for confirmation, I believe everyone here has seen the video of the last session. The one uploaded this week, if I'm correct. Okay, so from what you watched, do you have any question? Maybe we can treat that before we proceed. Okay, I guess we can proceed then. I'll be sharing my screen. So this week, we talked about JavaScript. We got ourselves familiar with JavaScript variables, declaring variable using let, var, and const. We introduced ourselves to data types and operators, introducing ourselves to functions and conditions, and also console and basic debugging. So today we'll just be giving a recap of what we had this week. Don't forget, in one of my classes, I mentioned that JavaScript was originally built to run on the browser. And that is why we are using the browser as our runtime for a start. So I want to try and bring us back to the beginning step. So what we had initially was just this page, we had this button. And then again, we have, let's do this for the desktop here. Let me bring this one here. Okay. All right. So the first thing we did was variables, declaring variables. So I'll comment this and come to my variables.js. I'll comment everything we have here, I'll comment them out. And I'll declare the first variable, which is the full name. And it's just a variable. And then the age. Don't forget that's not my age. Let me even change it. Let me change it to 10. All right. So full name is Emily Michael, age is 10, and we are using this alert to throw up an alert on the front end. So what we have here is, hello, my name is Emily Michael, and I'm 10 years old. So what we did here is declaring a variable with const, right? In our videos, in our lessons, I mentioned the differences between const, let, and var. Can anyone remind us? Is there anyone that can remind us the difference between const, let, and var? Okay, I'll just proceed then. So I said we can declare a variable with var, which is variable, short form of variable. And if we still come here and refresh, this should still work. Okay, this should still work. So with variable, I can redeclare this. I can redeclare the full name and say, let me choose one name from here and say Davis Ikiolua, right? And if we come back here, it should still work. Hello, my name is Davis Ikiolua and I'm 10 years old, right? For variable, you can redeclare a variable. However, if we use let full name be Ayomide Michael, let age be 10. And then if we try to redeclare this full name, we're already getting an error here. Cannot redeclare a blocked scoped variable full name. So which means you can't redeclare it. Let me reload this. We should be having an error in our console by now. And you can see this syntax error. Identifier full name has already been declared. So we can't redeclare it, but we can reassign the value, right? We can reassign another value to it. And if I reload this, everything should still work. And then for constants, let me return our let back here. For constants, you can't redeclare it, and you can reassign another value to it. Why? Because the value you assign to it must be a constant. So that is what will always be there. It will be constant. If I inspect this page again, come to our console, you should see identifier full name has already been declared. So you can't redeclare it. That's number one. You can't reassign it. That's number two. You can't reassign it. That's number two. You can't reassign it. That's number two. Though we are not getting an error in our IDE as of now, but if I reload this page, you can see assignment to constant value is giving us a type error. So that is not possible. So that is how we declare variable, either with var or let or const. Does anyone have any question about variables? Okay. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, you can hear you, sir.
Okay. So now that we have this, let's do some mathematics. So we have our first variable here, first number, which is 2. We have our second number, which is 10, right? We can do some mathematical operations by saying constant sum. So sum is another variable, right? Sum is another variable equals to the first name plus the second name. Sorry, the first number and the second number. First number is 2, second number is 10. So that will give us 12, I believe. And if we come here and alert sum, we have alert sum somewhere down here. So if we alert sum, come here and refresh, we have 12, right? Which is the addition of these two. If we are performing a subtraction, we are subtracting first from second number. Let me comment the second one too. And if we come here and refresh, we have 12. And I think, okay, so if you notice now, we have two alerts, this 12 and this 8. So what I want to do is to comment out this first alert. So it will be alerting us twice. So yeah, we have 8, which is 10 minus 2. We have multiplication 2, which is first number times second number. And that's third expression. So we'll comment out our multiplication and refresh. We have 10 times 2, which is 20. We have division 2. Second number divided by the first number, that should give us 5. Comment this out as well. I'll comment it rather. And we have 5. I believe everyone can still see my screen. So that is that about the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So we did something very interesting here. Let me comment this one out. And we have the first name and last name here. Our variable first name, constant first name, and constant last name. This guy doesn't change, but we need the full name. So what do? We do concatenation. Concatenation is the process of adding more than one string. Concatenation. In JavaScript. I'm trying to see a very good example. A very good definition. Okay, let me just bring you what Google suggested for me. So this says concatenation in JavaScript involves combining two or more string into one string, into a string. Longer string. Okay, into a single longer string. Okay, yeah. So what do we do here? We have Ayomide and we have Michael, right? To get the full name, we can concatenate Ayomide with a string. This string contains a space and the last name. Concatenate it to the last name again. And if we come here and alert us our full name, we have the full name, right? You know what we can do? We could actually just come here and say first name plus space plus last name, right? I can come here now and refresh. I should still have the same value. I can comment this out. Refresh. We should still have the same value. So instead of alerting it directly, I just put it in a variable, and I'm alerting us the value of that variable. And I can also add something else. I can say change this to description, but let's just do it this way. Let's add gender. Let's add gender. That's gender. Is male. Let's say city is Lagos. Can say country. Can say country is Nigeria. Let's change this city to states. So we've changed this to states. I can come here and say, let's say Constance PIO is what I am plus the full name. If you notice now, after this I am, there's space before the full name. I am, comma, space, a, comma, okay, I want space here. Gender from, so if you are noticing, we have a space. I'll do something, I'll remove the space in one of them and you see. But before then, we should have the result first. So let's alert our BIO, come here and refresh. We have Ayomide Michael, a male from Lagos, Nigeria. Let me remove some space. Move this, remove this, remove this, and save. If I refresh this now, you notice some things are joining together, some text are joining together. That's the effect of those space we are having. We are adding. So let's bring our space back, space back, space back, and we should be good. And yes, we are good. So that is that about variables in JavaScript. I think there's something else we talked about, which was data types. So what I did, we had this guy, I added this guy, right? Yes, I added this data type.js, and I told us there's a couple of data types that we have, but the most popular ones are numbers, which includes integer, float, double, or long. Remove this long. These are the ones you most likely be using. We have string. We have array, we have object, we have boolean, we have null, we have undefined, right? I mentioned that numbers are numeric values, like 1, 2, 3, 4, numeric values like that. And a string is a text. A string is a text. Mind you, a string can contain numeric values. So a string are alphanumeric characters. You can put your alphabets and you can put your numbers. They are alphanumeric characters. So I can say username can be Ayomide underscore 0312. 0312. Yes. So this is username. This is a string, right? And this is an array. Array is like a list of other values, a list of values. So if we say we want to have a list of the students in the Dive Africa backend, the Dive Africa 2.5 backend cohorts, if we say we want a list of them, we'll put all of them in an array. And this array now contains string. That is why when I'm overing, it brings me an array of string, which means the type of this student, the student variable, is an array. And inside that array, everything inside it has string. Are you getting? If I come here now and change this to 20, you know 20 is not a string, it's a number. You see here, I have string or number. So what this means is that this is an array, and inside that array, you can have a string or a number. We are not dealing with numbers here. So this is an array. And I mentioned this as well, which is an object, right? An object is like an individual that has many attributes and can perform some actions, right? We have the student object here, and which has the first name attribute. The first name is Ayomide, last name is Michael, age is, what am I using, 25, age is 10, is married is false, gender is male, gender is male, courses is an array of the courses. These are the data type. The first name is a string, last name is a string as well, age is a number, is married is false, gender is male, which is so is married is a boolean. Boolean is either true or false. True or false. Is married is a boolean, gender is a string, courses is an array. And we have those variables declared here. I had some alert here. So let's alert the type of our first name. If I come here, so we are still having the alert from this place. Where's the place? From this place. So let me just comment this out. Come here and refresh. We have what? Data type. A lot of first number. First number is a number actually, not first name. First number is a number. So let me come here and refresh. We have number. Cannot say property null on click data type. We'll come back to that error. So we have number. And the second one here is a username, which is a string. I'll comment on this one too. And if I refresh this, I should have a string. Let me comment this out. So this, we are not using type of, we are just checking if it's an array. By doing what? By saying array.isArray, and then passing in the students, which is the array variable. If I reload this, I'll see true, which means it is truly an array. If I put something else here, let's put username here. That we are sure it's not an array, and refresh. We should have false. So yes, change this back to our students. Refresh and it is true. All right. For students, which is an object, let's uncomment this. Refresh. It is an object. A boolean, which is either true or false, is married, is a boolean. We were checking for is married here. If it is null, it is actually not null. It is a boolean, right? And also we were checking if username is undefined. It is not undefined. It is a string, right? So what we're checking here is if it is equals to, if it is the same thing. This that's what this 3 equals to sign means. If they are the same, if they are the same thing, if they have the same value. And then we talked about operators. Before we proceed to operators, does anyone have any questions about data types? Anyone? Okay, that means you are good to go. All right, so we'll be proceeding to operators. So we've been using this equal to. If you use one equals to, it means assignment. That means you're assigning this value to this variable. You're assigning this value to this variable. You're assigning this value to this variable. You're assigning this object to this variable. This value to this variable. This value to this variable. This value to this variable. So it's an assignment if you're using a single equal to. But if you're using two of it, it means you are checking if the values are the same, right? And checking if the value is the same will give you something like this. Something like exactly something like this. 6 and 6 are the same, they have the same value, right? So if I come here and refresh, I should have true. Why? Because 6 and 6 have the same value. But if you notice, these guys does not have the same data type. This 6 is an integer. Sorry, is a number. Why this one? Is actually an integer, but generally speaking for JavaScript, I'll call it number. And then this other one is a string, right? Which makes them not having the same data type. So when you are using this one, this two equal to, it is a loose equality operator, which means it will just check if the value matches and not the data type. So let me refresh again. We have true. So what do we want to do now? We want to enforce that data type check. Enforce the data type check and refresh. We now have false, which is telling you that the values are not the same. These two guys does not match. So that is that about loose equality and strict equality operators. If you want to enforce type check as well, you should use this theory equal to sign. All right, there's another one. We can say not equals to. Wherever you see this, let me put it here. When you see this exclamation mark, it means not operator. So when you see not and equal to, it means not equals to. So if you check if 6 is not equals to 6, you should get false. Why? Because 6 is actually equals to 6. If you are not checking for the data type, right? If you are not checking for the data type, you just want to know if value matches. 6 and 6 are the same, which is the loose not equal operator. As the loose not equal operator. But if you want to be very strict and you want to enforce the data type check, you have to use this equals to. You have to add one equal to, making it 2. So this will also check the data type if it matches. So here if I reload, we should have true, which means 6 is not equals to 6 because their data type does not match. And that is that about not equal to operators. Also, we have the greater than. We have greater than. If I say 6 is greater than 6, I should have false. Why? Because they are the same value. None of them is greater than any of them, right? But if I change this to 7, 7 is greater than 6, and refresh, I have true, which is telling us 7 is actually greater than 6. You can say 7 is greater than 6 or equals to, which is this guy, greater than or equals to. Is it greater than 6 or it is equals to 6? Which should give us true because it is greater than, right? It is not equals to, but it is greater than. If we change this to 6, 6 failed when we did this, right? If we change this to greater than or equals to, you should have true. Why? Because it is not greater than it, but it is equals to it. So greater than or equals to should work. Sorry, less than or equals to should also work. Why? Because it is not less than it, but it is equals to it, which is true. And if we change it to, if we remove the what's it called, the equals to here, we should have false. Why? Because they are both the same value and none of them is greater or lesser than the other. All right. So here we have Boolean checking. Is false equals to false, which is true. And we got our true. We got our true. I think that is all about operators. Does anyone have any question on operators? Anyone? Then I guess we are good. So another part we touched is functions, right? Functions. So how do we do? What is even a function? A function is a block of code. Sorry, it's a block of code. Am I saying code? Let me check for a perfect definition. Okay, I bring this here for you. A function is a functions in JavaScript are fundamental building blocks that encapsulate reusable block of code designed to perform specific tasks. They promote code organization, reusability, modularity, making code easier to manage and maintain. So let's come here. We declared a function here. And what does this function does? It assigns a variable. It declares a variable, right? Function message, and puts this our function message inside it. And inside the function message, we have alert, the function message, right? This function will not execute until it is triggered. You know that normally we should, if I bring these guys outside this function, and let me comment out the function. Bringing it outside the function and refreshing, we have hello from inside the function. But it's actually not inside the function, it is inside the document. But it is executing because it's not inside the function. Everything in this file will just execute first, and then the rest of the file will be expecting when they will be triggered when you have function. So a function will not execute unless it is triggered. So how do we trigger a function? Created a button here. This button, click me button, right? And give it an ID. let me just do something else. So we can come here, create a button, and say button. Right. Let's come and refresh. Let's give it a little styling. Let's just give it an ID of PTN. Right. Let's give it a little style. A little style. PTN. Yeah. Good. So yes, we now have a very beautiful button here. So what do we do to make this button trigger something? Because if you click on it now, nothing is happening, right? How do we make this button do something when it is clicked? Go to our JavaScript and say documents dot get elements by ID, and the ID of our element is our button dot click dot on click rather. So what happens when it is clicked? Our function happens. Is there a function? No. Hello world happens. Hello world happens. Let me remove this guy. Right. So if I come here and refresh, click here, you have hello from inside the function. You see that is only happening when the button is clicked, which means the button is triggering that function, and every of the code we have in the function will execute. So we declared another function here, which has some conditional statements in it. What we'll just do is to change the on click here. Right, and we have number is 10. If number is equals to 20, it should log. Okay, let's do this way. Let me change all this log to alert first. Alert. So yes, if I click here and actually our number is less than 20. If it is exactly 20, it should put this in it should alert number is 20 to us. If it is greater than 20, it should alert greater than 20 to us. And if these two conditions are not met, we should fall back to this, which is number is less than 20. Right? If it is 20, exactly 20, alert us this. Else, if it is not 20, if it is not exactly 20, but it is greater than 20, here we could have done this. Well, just to show us if statements order. So if else, if the number is greater than 20, you should do this. And else, if these two conditions are not met, can fall back to that. So for this use case, which is 10, the number is less than 20. It is not greater than 20, it's not equals to 20. It is less than 20. So let's change this to, let's say 30. Right. And if we come back to our web, click here, we have number is greater than 20. And something I didn't mention was that you can call a function from another function. You can say, let's declare another function here. Let's say constant suggest number. Right. Which would be a function. I want to use random number. Random number should be should it be? How do we generate random number? Yes, math.floor, math.rand. Let's just do this math.rand, random times 100, and return. Okay. So we have a random number here as a variable. Let's log this to the console. suggested number is blah 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 blah. If I come here and change our on-click to suggest number, let's confirm that our suggest number is working. You can see we have 8391. So the reason we have times 100 here is that the number to generate without this times 100 is 0 point something, 0 point something, if I'm correct. Yeah, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It is actually 0 point something. Let me remove this math flow. So yes, you can see 0 0.7, 0 0.1, 0 0.6, 0 0.3. So instead of doing that, we can just multiply this by 100, which means multiply all those 0 0.0 points. And you can see we have 76, 85 point something. We don't want this point something. We want whole numbers. So what do we do again? We can come here and say math.floor to round it to our own number. Math.floor, right? And then inside it we have the value. So let's come here again and click here. We have all numbers now, right? But they are random numbers, right? So what we can do, a function can return a value, right? I didn't mention that in the class, but here we are. A function can return a value. So let's say after logging this to the console, you want to return random number back to where you were being called, right? Whenever they call you, give them this number. So let me click here again. Our function is still working. So what we can do, we can say our number should be what? Suggest number. Don't forget, suggest number will return something. So that thing suggest number wants to return, it should be inside our number. Are you getting me? So if I come here, refresh, click here, we have suggested number is 6. So we are supposed to change the on-click of our button as well to our function. Right. So now our function will trigger, on-click will trigger our function, and our function will trigger suggest number. Right. So if I come here and refresh, click here, you see number is greater than 20. Number is greater than 20. Did I see greater than? Okay, greater than 20, that's 34. Greater than 20, 50. Greater than 20, 87. Greater than 20. Let's do something. Let's change this threshold to 50. 50. 50 and 50. Right, 50. Yeah. So what we can do, we can refresh this, click here. Number is greater than 50, that's 59. Number is greater than 50 again, that's 64. Number is less than 50, which is 29. Right? So I noticed something again. We are repeating ourselves here, 50, 50, 50, 50. What we can do, we can say constant threshold is 50. So we can say if our number is exactly the same as our threshold, right? Number is exactly our threshold. We'll do concatenation here, threshold, right? If number is greater than our threshold, we should do concatenation here as well, and else. So everything should still work as expected. Number is exactly 50. As you can see, it's exactly 50. So what else can we do? Let me see. I think we are done here. Okay, I think that is that about functions. A function can trigger another function. A function can return a value. All right. So there's something we call asynchronous functions. It means this function will not return your value immediately. You have to wait for it. I will now have to do something like wait. Yeah, but we've not gotten there. As time goes on, we'll come to that. Say yes, we are good. Okay, console and debugging. So we've been doing a lot things. renewing alerts here, alerts here and there. But what if we don't want it to come up as an alert? We just want to log it to the console so that we can go and check it and not interrupt users flow. Because if you are bringing something up the screen like this, it will interrupt the user flow. What you can do is to just log this to the console. Let's say console.log, console.log, console.log. So if I refresh this and click here, you can see everything is now going to the console and we don't have anything disrupting us here anymore. So that is that. I think that was all we covered in our lesson. Now I'll be taking questions. Does anyone have any question? Okay, Oyinola Nifemi, you can proceed.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. Please, regarding the function, is it way this used to declare function for backend development, or is there another type that like the most common one for the most common way for declaring function?
Sorry, I didn't hear you at some point. I think my network was breaking. Can you come again, please?
Okay, I said that's the way of declaring function. Like, what is the common way of declaring function for backend development, or is it depending on the person that is writing the code?
It depends on where you are declaring your function. But this is the most popular way people declare a function. But if your function is doing just one thing, don't do that. If your function is doing just one thing, you can make it one liner. Let's say I have a function that says log to console, which receives a message. Oh, sorry, we didn't treat this receiver. We'll talk about that. Which receives a message and then log the message to the console. You notice that this function does only one thing, right? So you can make it in one liner by making it an arrow function. So what I can do here, I can say my constant log to console should be a function, should be an arrow function, which will receive a message. And what should it do is to console.log the message is received. Okay, I don't need to put the FN. So yeah, I'll remove this because the error here is I'm declaring, so I can just remove this. That is if your function is doing just one thing. But if you are having up to 2-3 lines, this is how you go about it. So talking about functions receiving something, functions can also receive variables. They can receive values. I can say add numbers. Add numbers is supposed to receive 2 numbers, number 1, comma number 2. Right? What should this do? You should just return number 1 plus number 2. Right? So this will just return the value of this expression. If this thing returns something, this function will also return whatever this expression returns. So let's do this add number. I can come here and say another function, do mathematics. First number is this, second number is this, sum is add number, which we pass in our number 1 and number 2, and then log the value to console. You can see we are now calling our function instead of doing console.log directly. So what do we do again? We can change the or click here to do mathematics and refresh. Click here and you have login message. You have login message. The sum of 20 and 30 is 50. So does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. So Mr. Ikelu, let's have you.
Oh, I can you hear me, sir?
Yes,
Good evening.
yeah, yeah, good evening.
Oh, I it's just that like the video will be recorded be be dropped because if I haven't like gone through a specific video and I wasn't able to like really follow, so I want to like be able to know so as when it will be dropped so that I can meet up with the class.
Okay, for this particular session, right?
Yes, sir.
It should be dropped tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Miss Officers, let's have you, please.
Good evening, sir. Hello?
Yes, good
Hello?
evening.
Good evening. Please, I want to ask concerning this function that we just discussed now, writing function inside a function. Do we also classify it to be closure?
When you say
Hello?
writing function inside a function, do you mean declaring another function
Yes.
inside the function now?
Like
Do
yes,
you mean
like this one that you just did now. Do we also classify it to be a closure?
actually it's not?
What's the difference? Okay, okay,
So a
okay.
closure is when your function is receiving another function as a parameter. So what we did here, where is it? What we did here, these guys, they are called, you can call them parameters, right? So when your function receives another function as a parameter, we can call it a closure. So let's say we can call it a closure or a callback. Let's say um, let's say you want a function that after everything it has done, maybe after this addition, you want it to do something. You want it to log the value to the console, right? We can say this thing should receive a callback function, and at the end of the day, we can say you should call the callback function and pass this sum inside it, which means this callback function is expected to be a logic, a method that receives something inside it, right? And if you notice, we have this log to console that is a function that will receive something inside it. So what we can do maths. I don't want to do maths. We can make this an arrow function, right? So this is an arrow function, just like we did here, right? But in this case, this arrow function is not returning anything. Sorry, it's not receiving anything. But do math is receiving log to console, right? So this callback is what we handle our login to console. If I come here and click here, we can see login message 50, and that is what we have here. Login message 50, login message and the message. And what's the message? The sum. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Do you have any question from anyone else? Anyone else? All right. If you don't have any question anymore, we can call it a day. You'll be getting your next video tomorrow. It will be uploaded tomorrow. We'll be talking about loops. We'll be talking about loops, array methods, object creation and usage. So we did object creation already, or we'll go deeper into it, and the usage would work with array methods. There's map, filter, and reduce, and we'll be working with loops as well for each, for, and why. All right. Thank you everyone for joining today's session. I'll see you again next week. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.